Okay, in this video, we're going to check out a couple of ways to do some neat little swirl effects. We're going to start with a neat little photo, and it would be cool if we could have some magical line effects coming from it. We're going to create a new layer first. We're going to do all our work in this layer so we don't mess with our background. Up under the brush presets and brush settings, so if you don't have that, go Window, Brush Settings. I have mine over here. You want to make sure you're on your brush tool because it won't work without it. And then you're going to pick a brush. Now, I've loaded all the legacy brushes into my Photoshop as well. You should be able to load them in your brushes panel here. Here, legacy brushes. So the one I'm using, number 40, is a legacy brush. So I've got number 40 selected. It's in here somewhere, but it is selected. You just have to trust me on that. And I want to set the spacing to about 1%. It should look like this. Now, any brush will work, but you want to make sure that it looks kind of like this. And under Shape Dynamics, you want to set it to pin pressure, okay? And typically it'll be set to something else. Set it to the pin pressure. So again, in the settings, make sure your brush is selected. You've chosen a brush. If you don't have the brush, legacy brushes. This one's number 40. It's called the Kyle Ultimate Brush Pen. Go Kyle. And then under here, set the spacing to 1%. And the shape dynamics, make sure it says pin pressure. And once you're done with that, you're done. Now we're going to use a tool that we're used to in Photoshop, but we haven't really used in, we're used to in Illustrator, but we haven't really used in Photoshop, and that's the pen tool. Everybody loves a pen tool. So I'm going to start a pen tool here, and I'm going to bring it around to there, and then I'm going to come here and just swirl it around, maybe angle it up a little bit, come over here, a little bit of angle here, come down here, and just play with my angles a little bit until I get it the way that I want it. And then I'm going to go into my paths and see it says work path. So I'm going to save the path and I'm going to call it path 1. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to just leave it as path 1. And that's good. Now I'm going to set my color to white. I'm going to go up under the menu here and I'm going to stroke the path. So I'm going to click Stroke Path. I'm going to choose Brush as a tool, and I'm going to simulate the pressure. And when we click OK, we get this cool brush shape. So I'm going to just delete my brush so you can see it. You don't have to, but look how neat that is. A nice rounded shape that goes around. So what can we do with that? Well, if we go back to our layers, we've got lots of things we can do to it. We have inner and outer glows. So let's start with an outer glow. And I'm going to select this, but I'm going to pick a color up here from the sky. And I'm going to set it to normal at 100% and see we've got that nice glow on it. Very little spread, and I can increase and decrease the size based on what I want. And there we go. And you can play with these two to get it just the way you want. I like that glow there. I'm going to go inner glow now. And I'm going to select a little bit darker, maybe here, right up here, and click OK. And again, normal, I'm going to set the opacity where I want it. Might bring it up a little bit just to give it that look. Choke still down, size, and I'll play with it until I get that look I'm looking for. I may even go down a little bit just so it has more of a edge there. Maybe 1 or 2 pixels. There we go. So you see you've got that neat little curve through there and it's glowing. So it kind of looks like it's part of it. The next thing that we can do is we can play with our screens and stuff. That's kind of neat. Doesn't really give the effect that I want. That's neat, but it's still not quite there. Well, maybe if we just reduce the opacity down just a little bit, it looks more realistic. See how you can see through it and it's got that little streak to it. And you can always option click and drag and create another one and do it at a different angle and maybe come in from behind her arm and it kind of overlaps like that. So you got some really cool swirls. You can also Command T it and flip it vertically so that you can have some really cool looking effects here. And it comes down and around. So you got that hourglass effect here that we have up here. Now, what I would recommend doing now is anything that goes in front of this hourglass, I might put behind the hourglass and maybe even move this so it looks like it comes from the hourglass. And this one too. You can just right click on it and choose your layer and then move it. And there we go. So what I would recommend doing now is zooming in and using your wonderful, what's it called? There you go, image mask. Grab some things and just kind of go, okay, well, I don't want that. There, there, and there. And Option delete because black's in front. Come here and over to here. Again, Option delete. Same thing here. Coming up, Option delete. And then it's got the other one there, but I can fix that real easily. I can Command click on my layer mask thumbnail and it will create that selection. Now all I have to do is come down here, but watch what happens if I choose it. Perfection. It hides that behind there. So it selected the whole thing and hid it. So now we've got what looks like streams in the shape of an hourglass coming from the hourglass.